This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
Hey everyone, this is Brett, and this is the Dog Savant Podcast. This is episode 8. We're going to talk today about the recall command. So that's very important. We're going to talk about how to teach your dog a solid recall, how to learn how to phase into off-leash and applied recall so that the come command could work in real-life situations, how to troubleshoot, and of course, why it is so important to teach your dog a good come command, recall command. Before that, I just want to talk about we're now on iTunes, so please subscribe, share, review, rate, all that good stuff. The more that people know about us, the more dogs that I can help. And then I'm on YouTube, I think Vimeo soon. We're going to have a video version, so you may be watching me. And, I just want to make sure that we have many different ways that you can find the podcast and learn how to communicate with your dog better, teach your dog new things, and just understand their behavior and hopefully have a more harmonious relationship with them overall. It sounded pretty good. All right, so anyway, we're going to talk about the come command. Why is it so important? Well, that's obvious. You want to be able to have command of your dog in any situation, at any, off-leash, at any range, with any kind of distraction. It could be just for convenience. You can have more freedom with your dog. You can save your dog's life. If your dog is running off into a street and a car's coming, you want to have a come command that stops on a dime and they start moving in your direction as soon as possible. As far as, for obedience and show, you can develop into a very fancy performance-based recall where you can get a nice, confirmed sit when they get next to you, whatever it is. But you do want to get when they hear come, an immediate response, because in real life, that's all you got is that response, or it could literally save their life. So how do we teach that? The come command is something that you need to build. I make fun of the purely positive training as a way to resolve a dog's behavior problems, but this is primarily how you're going to teach a dog initially to respond to the come command and get that, Pavlov's dog response. I always recommend that even if you're teaching the dog this, and I would recommend right from puppyhood, you start imprinting the idea of a recall consistently. You want to build the other foundations of good, solid distance obedience where a dog can do a sit, a down, even a stand for a period of time and do it at a distance with distractions. You want to build from 30 feet on. I'll talk a little about, I like to use the long line initially to get a consistency in the recall. But even with your distance, your stationary command, you'll get, a better follow through, a better ability for a dog to listen when you're working out the distractions and whatnot, if you have some kind of leash and well-timed follow through because of it connected to them. So with the recall, this is where, again, we're going to talk about making it a purely positive thing. It's going to be something they really should be enticed by when they hear it. And it could be any word you want. Come is just what most people use, so we'll use that word to refer to it. But a recall is what people, call the action of a dog when you say a word for them to recall to you, right? So you want to start imprinting this early in puppies. And even if your dog is older and you want to start teaching it, just be expected to have a little bit of a back and forth with the building process. Where puppies, you're kind of chaining this together pretty much day after day in terms of their improvement. You want to use a high value treat, something that they will only get for the come command. And the reason why is you want to make that pathway that when they hear the come, they start associating that by moving to you as fast as possible, they get that flavor. And if it's something they really like and you only give them that specific treat for that specific command, you build a very quick, enthusiastic response, and you also build a direct pathway which will promote consistency and reliability, especially when you want future obedience off-leash and at greater ranges. So with a puppy, you start very close. You usually do it when they're more or less focused, just so that you can work on the action of hearing the come, getting to you as quickly as possible. And then what I like to do is add a sit. Some people like doing it in front of you. Some people like doing it next to them. Your choice, but what I do like is once they hold that sit, they have to maintain it until we release them or segue to another command. You do not, it's a big mistake I see people make. You do not want a dog that will come to you, you reach out to give them the treat, or you move to them, even worse, and then they take it and run off. That's never going to help you in a real-life situation. You need them to shoot to you as fast as possible, cling to you. I don't care if they slam into you. Good. That's the only time I'd promote it. And then they sit and they hold it at your side or in front of you. I even tell people that that's the nature of the lure end of the lure and reward training is you want to do like the cart and the horse idea. You want to back away a little bit, kind of drag the treat towards you little by little. So even when they're doing it, you want to build more enthusiasm. You also, when you're practicing this, you want to slowly talk about build the distance, the amount of distractions, the new environments little by little. You do this every day for young puppies. You keep the sessions very short. And you want to end the session when the dog is seeking to do it again. You want to build that enthusiasm every time. You don't want to burn them out on training. For an older dog, they can stick with you a little longer. You can do a longer training session or expect more, quicker, especially if you've been practicing this. But a little puppy, you want to keep this fun, especially a command like come. This is not basic obedience. This is not relational or leadership kind of training. This is just purely they hear come and that pathway gets them right to where you need them to be as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So you want to create that straight line. And then when you start building distance, doing it outside, you want to use a longer leash to start building the consistency. And it's not to drag them in like they're, like a fish. You want to just use it as a guide, and you can steer them with it so that you can create a smooth direction. If they're going off course, the leash, if you have control of it, can get them more efficiently back into that straight path coming to you. But you have to phase them off a leash. You can start dropping a leash and creating more distance. What's hard right here is I'm kind of painting a picture for what the training looks like. I do have videos demonstrating this. I know in one of the episodes of my series, The Untrainables, I think there's one where we do some recall work, and I do have a lot of videos where I show it and I explain exactly what I'm talking about. But it is, in essence, you're building the association that when they hear the word come, they have to get to you and maintain a spot. That's why I do like to create that automatic sit. So if a dog hears it, they're picturing how to get to that spot to get the reward and the confirmation, holding it and building that focus. That just makes them not just, I kind of get to you, then I run off. It's like, no, I come to you, I sit and I hold it, and they just follow those steps, and then you release them when it's appropriate. Much better, and it's not for show. I don't care about that. In my world, I care about it working in the real world, and I tell people you do it where you know your dog's going to have to learn how to do it. So don't just do it in your backyard and expect them to do it out at the park where you've never practiced. You literally need to apply this and proof the training every step of the way, especially when they've got it down where it's familiar environments or new environments that they know, or there's the distractions they're used to. You want to keep upping the game until as perfect as a dog can respond to any command. You want to build it. It takes some time, takes practice, takes consistency. The other thing with the consistency is don't do it without a leash or some kind of guaranteed follow through until the dog is got that, because you're just going to lose that A to B pathway. If 3 weeks into training, your dog's got a pretty good knack for come in your living room. Now you're at the dog park, you start saying, hey, come, and they tune you out because they're too caught up in the play with other dogs, and you haven't practiced even close to what that would require. And you can get them there, and it takes some work, but you're just teaching them, now at the dog park, I hear come, and I don't have to do it. So you don't want a dog to have that association until they're ready to actually respond, and it's just a lot of practice. Some dogs will come naturally just by saying their name, but if you want a real guaranteed thing, it takes some practice, consistency, and the right building. So that's how you teach, okay? Now we'll talk about troubleshooting. So what do we do if the dog's got this down pat and they start, they're not listening right when I take them off the leash? Do I yell at them? Do I chase them down? Your best thing is to kind of examine, if my dog didn't listen, what could we have done in the teaching phase of this to get them better prepared for the situation. If it's something that you made as a mistake, or just there was more work that had to be put in, again, an example is asking your dog to listen at a dog park when you haven't even expected them to learn to sit at a dog park, something more basic. So you have to work on that. And then there's things that you can start doing to proof for, you can use this is old school, but some trainers used to use like fishing line or some thinner leash, or make the leash shorter and shorter. Then you get into the remote collars, the e-collars, which I'm fine with a well-trained dog, and you use it to proof a behavior that they have a very clear concept of, and you've put the work in. But I don't rely on them. I think some trainers rely too much on them, and I've seen with my own eyes hunting dog trainers that they don't believe in e-collars, and they can get, the 24 dogs out in the field to respond by a whistle, because of the time put in the relationship they have with their dog. So, but these tools do work. They're very handy. I admittedly use them in the right situations, but in most cases, the dog just needs more time being taught, and you need to look at, if there's any other kind of issues going on in the relationship that would make them not respond to you the way that they should out in the world because of other things that happen in an everyday front. So, little things like dogs, it could be, dog goes to a different direction. Again, it's easier to troubleshoot for every little specific when they're, we'll do videos like this, so be patient. But, just like even if a dog overshoots you, you want to always keep drawing the dog back to that space you want it to be. So anytime a dog would go to the opposing direction, you want to draw them back towards you. So I guess you don't want to chase them down is the best way to describe this. You want to draw them to you, and you don't want to be begging and bribing, because at that point when they don't have the leash and you don't have that kind of control, they're not going to be playing the come catch me games and all that, because you work that through with the leash. You work that through in your building so that they know when they hear come. There's nothing in it for them to be acting like that. Coming to you and following through is the best thing for everybody, because that's all they know. Anyway, I guess that's a good description, I think. But, I think the videos, demonstrating, and you can refer to some now. We'll have plenty more in the future. That'll give you a little more insight to back up what we're talking about here. I think that's it. This will be a short one, just subject-based. But I think it's good just to keep them on one topic sometimes. And let me see. That's what I want to announce. My show was supposed to come out on the 1st, this Saturday, but because of the holiday weekend, they're going to hold it off until Saturday the 8th. So the Untrainables will have episode 1 released on Facebook Watch through the Pet Collective on Saturday the 8th of September 2018. So stay tuned for that. That's the big thing. That's what I'm so excited about. And I want this podcast to be a way for you to get to know me, because they're such short episodes, and I'm just kind of doing my training thing so you can get to know me more. So send me your questions, send me videos of your dogs, social media. You can go on my website, dogtrainingla.com. I am on YouTube. I think it's YouTube / Dog Training LA, and then Facebook. All that stuff is linked from my website too, so very easy to find. And support the show, support the podcast. And give me some ideas, suggestions. I know some people have given me some good constructive criticism. I appreciate that. It only helps. I want to give you what you want. This podcast is to help dogs and their owners, share information. This is not coming from opinion. I'm not some guy who just watched a lot of episodes of The Dog Whisperer and think I know better. I actually have put in a lot of time doing this, and these are things that I've learned through trial and error. These are things that other trainers have taught me, things that other clients have taught me. I'm still learning every day, but what I do, it's not about hearsay. It's about hearing enough people who do not know each other telling me this is helping my dog. So I tend to think the advice has some value to it. So if you apply it to your dog, I'm pretty sure it'll work too. Again, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. And thank you. Stay tuned for more episodes.